Yeah, we only got that in very recently, but it's one of the, like I said before, we believe a lot more in punctuating the stereo effect in the game as opposed to it just being some generic thing that just pervades the game.
Yeah.
To us, it's all about contrast in really calling out the stereo 3D. So that was one of our big moments in which we like to do that is, seeing it cross the screen and then seeing it horrible with that sort of stereo 3D depth before it becomes its illustrated 2D interactive object. So here's an example of another rescuable character, and if you notice, it's a pretty recent Disney character. It's Rapunzel from Tangled. It actually hasn't really been manifested officially yet, painted in 2D since it was a CG movie. So it was a real privilege to be able to define that for the first time, and I hope we've done justice to the original model. But another thing to take from that is the kind of spectrum that that we're drawing from across Disney films throughout history. You've already seen, characters like Rapunzel who come from a fairly recent Disney period. But then backing up, we have characters that you can rescue from the Renaissance period, such as Beast and Aladdin. And then if you back up even further to early Disney, we also have characters like Sleeping Beauty and Snow White in the game.
Is there any chance for any characters from Pixar, or?
At this time, there are not plans for that. So this is another important subfeature of the game. It's called sketches. So the idea with sketches is that there's an icon that you can always touch to activate them as part of your user interface. And it allows you to place and paint something anywhere that you want at any time in any level at the cost of paint thinning resources. So this is in stark contrast to the normal level content that you see on the bottom screen that can be painted in or thinned, in that you carry these sketches with you wherever you want and you place them at any time anywhere that you want in the level. And you'll be able to gain many different types of sketches throughout the game. In fact, what you do in the fortress can also give you new sketches. Now notice here you had to wait a little while lest you be hit by your own sketch, and that's kind of another interesting nuance to the sketches, is that they can become double-edged swords strategically. The way in which you employ and place them can affect not only you but the enemies and how you interact with Mickey at the time that your sketch is active. So you've noticed here that some of those crushers allow you to make the challenge a little easier if you take it upon yourself to thin it, and that's a large part of the philosophy of this game, is that allowing the user to sort of configure and tailor the challenge to their own desires.
What more says the playstyle matters.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, I guess that's why we're working together, is because a lot of the things that Warren would want in terms of espousing that philosophy throughout the game are things that we would be interested in doing anyway. So it's just really flowed easily.
So I know you talked a little bit about how it all came together, but I guess how shortly after Monster Tales were you working on this?
Well, actually, we kicked around ideas for a while before we settled on actually prototyping and drafting a concept for the fundamental idea of allowing the user the opportunity to participate in painting assets, and images that then became interactive parts of your environment. And then after that, we spoke with Disney just because, well, not just because, but because we had an amazing relationship with them already. We had actually spoken with them, prior on maybe working together on other things, and just had a really good relationship the whole time about that. And it just was a really happy coincidence that they wanted to bring Epic Mickey to the 3DS. And once we actually talked about, this concept in relation to Epic Mickey, it was almost immediate that the deal was made.
Yeah, so I know this concept, I mean, you had the basic idea for this before you even knew you were going to be doing Epic Mickey. How did that change at all as you started working more on the game.
It actually hardly changed at all, which was why I think both parties are really excited. I know that they were talking to like basically an ensemble cast of all-star developers to potentially work on an Epic Mickey game on the 3DS, and we sort of had an unfair advantage in coming to them with a design for the game already or a design for a game that just was a dead ringer for how we would adapt it. If they gave us a blank slate and said, "What would you do with Epic Mickey on the 3DS?" it would have been that prototype concept that we had anyway. So I don't know if that kind of we can expect that kind of coincidence to happen again, but it's been really fortunate so far, and here we are. And the one thing that I would add on top of that is I think it's one of those few rare cases where you have an idea for a game that you're excited about, but you haven't put a fiction around it or figured out the universe aspect of it. And it's one of those cases where you have something that's really something that enhances that original mechanical idea by nature of the IP that you end up dealing with. So, going back to the fundamental concept, the idea is how can we make it interesting? How can we make it most compelling when you're involving the player in creating art on using the bottom screen touch screen that becomes interactive, right? And the advantage in that was immediately apparent to us in terms of how it would actually strengthen our mechanical concept when we spoke to Disney about doing this game was the fact that if you have players painting things in that are just dreamless random art, there's not that immediate emotional investment and attachment and knowing of famous Disney beloved iconography and characters.
That has Pete's face on it.
Exactly. So it actually enhanced our fundamental gameplay mechanic.
What's like this gold trail that I had going on behind me?
Yeah, so that's actually one more of a number of reasons why how well you paint the objects matters. So based on the grade that you attain and the grades throughout as you're painting the object that you attain to a smaller extent, you'll increase the, you'll actually, if you pay attention, there's a super meter on the bottom left corner of the top screen. And that fills as you get better grades, okay, based on how good the grades are. The more of that super meter you get, the longer Mickey is in this special super state. And it drains constantly when you're playing the top screen, but while you still have any amount of super meter, Mickey is enhanced significantly. He moves faster, his attacks are enhanced, and he jumps higher. So this is an example of one of the more advanced nuances of the ability to paint and erase things into the environment. Let's see if you can figure this one out without my interference. Yeah. Looks like you're doing just fine.
Really seems to go hand in hand with Epic Mickey because I was playing Epic Mickey 2, it does seem to be go right in line with that.
It's good to hear. So actually, if you notice here, you're starting to see something that's unusual, which is this sort of glowing boundary. And the idea here is that you're beginning to see the first example of illusions grafting into the castle. And that's actually the beginnings of Captain Hook's ship from Peter Pan, Jolly Roger. And the next level you'll play actually is cloaked completely in Captain Hook's, in the illusion from Peter Pan. So it'll look just like you're playing in Neverland on Captain Hook's ship.
Can you just go here, or?
Actually, right now, just for the demo, yeah, you should head over to the fortress. But I should stress that the fortress is optional in the core game, in the real game. You don't have to visit it in between levels, but there are plenty of reasons to do so.
What's Oswald's role in the game?
Okay, so Oswald initially is the main impetus for getting Mickey back into Wasteland. He's in the introduction to the story. He's actually the one who lets Mickey know that the castle's appeared in Wasteland and that Mickey's been seen inside trapped, and that obviously gets Mickey straight back into Wasteland to enter the castle and save her. But furthermore, Oswald will take up residence inside the fortress in this main heart chamber, which is kind of the primary chamber of the fortress mode. And within the heart chamber, he'll do things like help Mickey to progress to later levels within the critical path of the game, and he'll also offer up Mickey explanations and help along with furthering the storyline. I guess the last thing I would do is just a quick blurb on the fortress. You'll notice that at first the fortress starts off very unassuming and plain, but the point is that as you progress through the game and you build the fortress community up by rescuing more and more characters, they'll not only expand. Yeah, they'll not only expand the fortress on the bottom screen, but each character's room itself will evolve and develop based on the quest that you perform for that character. Each time you perform a quest for a character, you not only gain meaningful rewards towards gameplay, but you also improve that character's room to where it starts very plainly, and by the end, if you've totally maxed out that character's room by doing everything you can for that character, the room will end up looking just like a fully realized version of that character's scene from their movie.
Yeah, I'm just getting quests. Is there a way out? Here's a quest.
So this is a different type of quest where Beast is asking you to paint something, and this is important too. This is our first example of what we call a multi-stage painting object, where we can allow the user to paint more complex Disney imagery by presenting multiple stages, 2 or more stages where you're filling in different details of a compound object. In this case, it's Beast's rose from the classic movie Beauty and the Beast, and I should mention that it immediately changes his room, and that will stay there forever as a result of what you've painted into the room.
Until the last petal falls forward. Yeah, I see the level indicator up there.
There you go. And actually the levels of the rooms ends up meaning something too. Every time that you enter the fortress after having beaten a level, you'll actually get money as a reward that's proportional to the total development that's occurred in the fortress across all of the rooms. So there's a reason to develop each of the rooms as far as you can, in addition to everything else I mentioned.